Greetings, and welcome to South Carolina Toastmaster District 58 podcast. Speak up and lead on. How is everyone doing today? I hope you all are doing great. But let's talk about what is this podcast about? It's a rich and engaging platform that will be dedicated to empower members and tools for prospective members in their pursuit of effective communications and exemplary leadership. Anchored by the values and principles of Toastmasters International, the podcast serves as an invaluable resource for members and non-members alike who are passionate about improving their speaking skills, presentations, and leadership skills. Topic ranges from tips, techniques, craft compelling speeches, managing fright, and mastering the body of language to exploring the advanced leadership program and personal growth. Listeners can expect gain practical advice, inspirational stories, and actionable strategy enhancing their personal and professional growth. Whether you are a seasoned Toastmaster, someone new to the world of public speaking and leadership, South Carolina Toastmasters District 58 Speak Up, Lead On is designed to elevate your skills and inspire you to achieve your full potential. Today we have some wonderful guests who's been in Toastmasters for a very long time and has vast amount of leadership skills. Because today's topic is leadership. We have in our audience past district director Mary Williams, immediate past district director Lee Holiday. Then we have past district governor Douglas Wilson. Welcome, and thank you for your time and your energy. I know you could be doing something else, but today you are here. And you right now, at this time, in this moment, want to share your experience, your thoughts, your knowledge of being a great leader because you sit in the shoes and you can inspire all of us to be better Toastmasters and better leaders. So let's begin. What is Toastmasters International? Toastmasters International was founded in 1924 by Ralph Smedley in Santa Ana, California. Smedley, an educator, aimed to create a supportive environment where individuals could develop their communication skills and leadership skills. The first club, called the Toastmaster Club, focused on public speaking and leadership throughout practice and peer feedback. As a concept gained, more clubs were established across the United States. In 1932, the organization expanded beyond the U.S. borders, with clubs from Canada. By the mid-20th century, Toastmasters began to grow exponentially, leading to its incorporation as a nonprofit in 1932. Over the decades, Toastmasters has evolved, introducing new educational programs, resources to meet the changing needs of its members. Today, Toastmasters International has over 16,600 clubs worldwide and comprising diverse membership span over 140 countries. Now let's talk about the overview structure of our Toastmasters International organization. We have clubs, which is the basic unit where members meet regularly. We have the areas, with a collection of several clubs within the geographic region. We have the division, a group of areas often within the state or region. Then we have the district, which is a larger region comprising multiple divisions. We have the region, which is the Toastmasters divided into 14 regions globally to encompass multiple districts. And then you have the international leadership. At the top, Toastmasters International is governed by a board of directors, which makes strategic decisions, oversee operation, and set the direction of the organization. This structured approach allows Toastmasters to effectively manage its global network and supporting members in this journey for personal growth and professional growth. Now, without further ado, we are going to hear some of what our leaders that's going to share some knowledge with us. If I can get past District Director Lee Holiday to introduce himself and give us little key nuggets on what he thinks a leader should be.
Thank you, Katrina. I've been in Toastmasters now for going on 28 years. And when I first began, it was right here in South Carolina, where I was a member of a club and became a division director here in District 58, South Carolina. During that Toastmasters year, my job took me to Atlanta, Georgia, but I continued to fulfill my district leadership responsibility as a division governor at the time, now called division leader, to fill out that Toastmasters year. What does leadership mean? Well, you can't have a leader without followers, and any good leader must first learn how to be a good follower. Because if a person doesn't know how to follow, then they can't possibly lead people who will be following them. They need to have experienced what they are asking others to do. They need to have experienced what I will call fellowship rather than leadership. Going through the journey of whatever it might be, whether it's in Toastmasters or in the work world or in other social organizations or in church or even in family life, we need to learn to follow those who have responsibility ahead of us. Once we learn to follow, then we have the tools to become good leaders. You know, one of the things we talk about is this is a communication and leadership organization. In my opinion, you cannot extract those two from each other. They are inextricably linked. Communication and leadership goes together. You can't be a good leader without good communication skills, and neither can you be an excellent communicator without good leadership skills. They go together. They grow together. So that, at a very high level, is how I would describe leadership.
Thank you, Past District Director Lee Holiday, for your feedback. Past District Director Malvi Lee, please introduce yourself and tell us, how do you measure success in your leadership role?
Thank you, Katrina. Your warm and exciting and enthusiastic welcome made me feel relaxed because, you know, these things terrify me. Welcome to all my other leaders here. I have been a Toastmaster since 2010. I started in upstate New York, so it's about 14 years. And in the first 5 years, let's see, 10 and I joined this district in 2014. So let's see, the first almost 4 years I spent in upstate New York, I was holding down leadership roles within the club. I knew about area directors and division directors, but I had no interest and no one really promoted those things. It's only when I got to South Carolina, you guys were all up into the leadership beyond the club. And that's when my first exposure began. So it's been a long journey. It's been a productive journey. I have certainly developed as a leader and continue developing. But I will say that Toastmasters is really responsible for a lot of the things that I do well outside in the real world. So for me, this Toastmasters journey has been an excellent training ground for blossoming outside. So your question was, can you repeat it one more time? How do I measure success? Great question.
Yes. How can you measure success in your leadership role?
How can I measure? How can I manage?
Measure.
Thank you.
Yes. No.
So measuring anything, success especially, you want to have specific goals.
Mm-hmm.
There are specific goals that any organization requires you to fulfill, and you want to do that well. It could be sales. It could be new product launches, which is what I'm into, new product launches in the eye health industry. In Toastmasters, we have specific things we have to accomplish, and we want to live into those. We know what our motto is. We say, oh my goodness, it jumped out of my head. Create new clubs and maintain all clubs in achieving excellence. I forget what it is. It suddenly left my mind, but you can edit that out, Laura. Build new clubs and support all clubs in achieving excellence. That's what it is. And so we have specific DCP goals for the clubs. We have goals for the district in terms of the number of clubs we bring in, our membership, the payments, all of that is important. But the way I measure success, in addition to fulfilling some of those goals that are set by Toastmasters, is to ensure that each member that I touch is in a different space in their development. And by that, I mean, either they're fulfilling their goals. If they come in terrified, they're less terrified. If they say, I have to achieve something in 3 months, let's set up a plan to achieve that in 3 months, because we know what the building blocks are, right? We know that everything starts at the club level. So how I measure success is fulfilling those important goals for Toastmasters, but I have to touch the member, and I have to make sure that the member is also fulfilling his or her goals. So that's important to me. And I'll leave it there. Back to you.
Past District Director Mallory Williamson, greatly appreciate your feedback. Past District Governor Douglas Wilson, tell us about yourself. And the question for you is, what are the key qualities you believe every Toastmaster leader should possess?
I probably have been around Toastmasters longer than anybody here. I first was introduced to Toastmasters when I was in the military in 1968, in November, as a matter of fact. And I joined the local club on base and was introduced to the art of public speaking. Now, I've been a communicator since I was in first grade. I gave my first public speech as a first grader. But somebody said, you seem to like to run your mouth a lot. Why don't you join Toastmasters and find out how to do more better? And so I joined, and I had know nothing about leadership. I just knew that we had to work on projects. And I got involved in the international speech contest that year and went to area. I guess it was called area. I know that I won a trophy, but apparently it was a second or third place trophy because I didn't move on from there. But it intrigued me. I left that base and went to military pilot training. And so I got separated from Toastmasters for a number of years. It was 30 years later, in January of 1998, when I came back to just rediscover the Toastmaster journey. A lot had changed in that period of time. Over the next 10 months, we were working on chartering my club in Sumter. And finally, somebody came up to me, the person who was my mentor, Pam Goldstein, and said, Patricia's looking for an area governor. You mentioned you might be interested in that. So, I want to compete too, but you can't do both. But interestingly enough, I joined in November of 1998 and was an area governor in December of 1998. I visited all my clubs, and I realized one key point that I had learned 20 years earlier when I was doing exactly the same role in the Junior Chamber of Commerce, commonly referred to as JCs. I was an area director. I was elected as a division director. So I had prior experience on how to do this. And the one thing I had learned is that you don't go in with the intention of telling them how they ought to be doing what they're doing. Because some of our clubs are very successful and they may be a little bit different than another club that's very successful, but you go in and find out where are areas they can improve and find ways of helping them to reach those goals. Now, Mallory mentioned DCP. If you're not a Toastmaster, you have no idea what that is. Many Toastmasters who are Toastmasters don't know what that is, but that's our Distinguished Club program. It's a method for measuring how a club is successful, and it's measured on education, meeting educational goals for individuals within your club, It's measured on recruiting new members and building your club, making it continue to grow. And it's also measured on training and getting paperwork done, meeting those continuous re-energizing of members on a continuous basis. Those are those are intriguing goals. They're effective goals, and if a club can meet those goals, they usually are successful. I'm a member of multiple clubs that are weekly clubs, and I'm a firm believer that if you're a club that meets weekly, you're more readily able to meet the needs of your individual member. So, what does it mean to be a leader in that? What are the qualities of leadership? I think one of the first qualities of leadership is integrity. Do you believe what you say? And do you say what you mean? And do you have the integrity to do what you know is right, even when nobody's watching? That's the first key ingredient. Honesty, I think, is the second. And some people kind of link those two together. Sincerity and authenticity, I think, are important roles for a leader. People want to know that you stand by what you say, that you believe what you say, and that they are willing to follow that. Somebody who's willing to paint a good vision of what can we accomplish together to make our group successful and thereby carry over to helping a bigger group successful, because a club is just an integral part, as Mallory pointed out, and as Katrina pointed out earlier. It's an integral part. The starting point is like the village, and multiple villages create a county, and multiple counties create a state. And so we're helping to build toward the higher one. Now, why did I go into leadership as a brand new Toastmaster? Because I felt that I could learn more about being a leader, because I had really no concept of it, and also to learn to be a better communicator. And I did both in that period of time. So the ultimate responsibility of a leader is not to imprint your stamp on others, is to find out how they can blossom within what you have to offer, the organizational way for them to blossom. Help them to blossom, to find their voice so that they can go out into the world and change the world by communicating their thoughts and important messages. Many people have those messages buried deep within them. They just need to find how to effectively communicate that. That's back to you.
Thank you for your feedback, past Governor Douglas Wilson. And now I'm going to introduce you to our second host, who is here with us today to also engage our district leaders. Here she comes, Toastmaster, who is our public relation manager, Laura T. Sutton.
Thank you. Good afternoon. It's been a great meeting so far, and we're going to keep it going with these wonderful questions. And thank you all for your feedback so far. Appreciate your response. The next question, we're going to take it to Lee Holiday. I'm very interested in hearing his answer to this question. And it is, how do you foster a supportive and inclusive environment in your club? And because you were a past district director, let's take it to the district level. How do you foster a supportive and inclusive environment in the district?
Thank you, Laura, for that question. Everything is based on relationships. You must build relationships with individuals in order to have any hope of having inclusivity amongst those individuals. If you don't have a personal relationship with the individuals who are part of the organization, whether it's the club or the district, if you can't build those personal relationships for whatever reason, then it's almost like you're destined to fail from the beginning. You must build personal relationships. And the way I do that at the club level is by serving as a mentor or somewhat of a mentor to almost every new member who comes into the club. I build a relationship with them. I develop with them the rapport to say, I am here to help you do whatever you want to do. At the district level, that becomes a little bit more challenging because you've got more people. You've got a broader group of people. So what do? You have the leadership team, more than just the district trio, but the I will call it the leadership seven of the district, who should reach out to all the other district leaders and begin to build those personal relationships. One of the things that I've seen happen is Jessica White, for instance, reaching out to division directors and helping them find their area directors and helping them accomplish the goals that they need to accomplish. I think that is perfect because you need to have those personal relationships and work with people one-on-one to help make that happen. When you do that, you build a collaborative framework and things begin to work together. Laura.
Thank you, Lee. I appreciate that feedback. Our next question will go to Mallory Williams, Past District Director Mallory Williams, and then I will turn it back over to our host, Katrina Harmon. And your question, Mallory, is, in your experience, what has been the most rewarding aspect of being a Toastmaster leader? Again, what has been the most rewarding aspect of being a Toastmaster leader?
Laura, thank you for that question. The most rewarding thing is, I think I want to borrow from Lee a little bit, is building those relationships, but building them in a way that is not necessarily transactional. So I'm not building a relationship with you because I want something from you. I really want to appreciate who you are and why you're here and how I could help you. And in so doing, it becomes easier to inspire that person to take on more eventually, because you're showing the interest in that person. And I think that Toastmasters really gives you the opportunity to hone those skills, make mistakes, correct them around relationship building so that it's not just transactional. Because once the transaction is done, you probably will never hear from each other again, particularly from the leader's point of view. So then the person does not trust you. Because the next time you reach out is just, hey, can you do such and such? Hey, they know exactly who you are and why you're coming to them. It's not a bad thing. It's just not sustainable. So I think that as we go through our careers in Toastmasters, use it to really do more than just take on the role, but really build relationships that you can take with you or learn from outside of Toastmasters. I happen to lead high performance teams in bringing new products to market. And all of these people are subject matter experts in everything that they do. You know, I have various scientists on the team, people in quality, regulatory, analytical chemistry, microbiology, toxicology, and so on. So you're not trying to motivate them because they're already motivated. They have PhDs and masters and all kinds. They're already motivated. They want to do the job and they get paid well. But the idea of having them work with you on your team comes from the kind of relationship you do. So talking about families or what we have in common is really, really critical. And when I go to engage with these folks, it's not to say, hey, I need you to do this right now. I used to be that way and I learned a hard way that doesn't work well, because it was purely transactional. But I want to know about them. And we start to talk about things like dogs and children. For those who have children, I still want to know about their kids. So my point here is the most rewarding thing for me has been learning how to build relationships that are meaningful, sustainable, and go beyond the transaction of, hey, I need a volunteer for you name it on the list. Back to you, Laura.
Thank you, Mallory. I appreciate that. And I also learned that as well, being a supervisor for a number of years that transactional relationships does not benefit the person nor me as a leader. So thank you for that reminder. And at this time, I'm going to turn the program back over to our host, Katrina Harmon.
Thank you, Toastmaster Laura Tay Sutton. And our final question for today, as we begin to close out our podcast, I want each and every leader on this podcast to answer one question with one simple thought. What is the benefit of becoming a leader? What are they getting out of becoming a leader in Toastmaster? What is in it for them? Why should they choose to become a leader in Toastmaster? This question there's going to be follow-up. So we're going to start with past Governor Douglas Wilson.
To me, I'm a lifelong learner, and learning happens to be one of my strengths. Constantly be seeking new information to help you grow as an individual. And I found that engaging in leadership and learning about leadership and working with people to help develop their leadership has been something I have found to be extremely rewarding. I've won awards in speaking, but the rewards that I get from watching other people develop their leadership skills, I think, are probably more important to me, because it's helping them not just to hold a good base of being a good communicator, but they're putting on that base the development of being a good leader. And when you're a good leader and can effectively communicate your vision of how we can benefit by working together, then we move forward in a very positive direction. And if you can do that with joy and happiness in your process, that's even better, because people like working on a happy team, not a negative team. So when you say, if you don't do this, I'm going to whip you. Well, that's not effective leadership. But if you can do it by getting them to buy in to how we can benefit by working together and develop those skills of leadership, I think that's where you really gain in the being effective as a leader, and you also gain in getting the most out of leadership. Thank you for the
Thank
question.
you, past Governor Douglas Wilson, past Director Mary Williams.
Could you repeat that question one more time, please?
Sure. What advice can you give those that are seeking leadership? What is it in for them? Why should they choose to become a leader in Toastmasters?
Thank you for that great question.
Mm-hmm.
I think about Toastmasters always as a training ground. Always, 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 always. So what we do in Toastmasters is important. And if we commit to what we're doing, it translates in ways that we can sometimes measure, but sometimes it's immeasurable what we can do outside based on the training we get inside of Toastmasters. So what's in it for them really speaks to why they joined Toastmasters in the first place, right? And if they can articulate that to you, then you can help turn it back around to them to say, you joined for these reasons, you told me, and taking on a leadership role. And every role in a club is a leadership role, whether it's timer, besides the officer roles or the obvious ones, timer or table topics master. They're all leadership roles because they help you become more confident. So what's in it for them? Confidence. What's in it for them? The ability to think on their feet. What's in it for them? The ability to translate all of that skill outside. And if I use myself as an example, smoothing out the rough edges helped by getting the feedback that you talked about earlier, Jessica talked about earlier. The feedback is equivalent, almost equivalent to what you get on the job, that 360 feedback. But you want to get it here because when you get it out there, it really impacts your pay or your ability to move up. So if you do it here and you understand what it is, that people are looking for and why they're saying what they're saying, then you could move outside and say, oh, it's not the first time I'm hearing this kind of feedback, and I was able to change something in here in Toastmasters and out there, and it's better. So what's in it for them? The ability to fulfill their why and then some. They get a lot more than they anticipated. They can translate all these skills that they're getting in here to something outside, whether it's time management, the ability to concisely state something, the more confidence in being in front of hundreds of people. On my job, sometimes we give presentations to hundreds of people from around the world, and you're like, we do a lot of it on Zoom because it's more convenient, but sometimes you have to travel and do something, right? So confidence is an amazing thing that can get you a long way. And if you fulfill your why inside, you will definitely be able to produce in a big way outside. So what's in it for them? Everything.
Thank you, Past District Director Mary Williams. And last but not least, immediate Past District Director Lee Holiday.
WIIF, what's in it for me? WIIFM, or what's in it for you? WIIFY, what's in it for you? Leadership is going to broaden your horizon. It's going to broaden your understanding. It's going to broaden your knowledge. But here's the deal. It's not something to be sought, but it's something that you move into as you grow yourself. Some people, I'll tell you a quick story. I was what we now call program quality director. It was a different title when I was down in Georgia, number 2 in the district. And I was preparing to become the district governor, now called district director. And all of a sudden, I had this area director who decided he was going to run for district governor. Really? Really? Where did that come from? So one of the things I had to do was I had to then begin to campaign for district governor, which was not something I planned on doing. I had planned to spend my time getting ready to be district governor rather than campaigning to be district governor, but I had to put on a campaign. But you know what that helped me do? It helped me crystallize what we wanted to accomplish as a district when I did become district governor. Now, I was elected by an overwhelming majority, and that's not to pat myself on the back, it's just the way it happened. But I all of a sudden had this plan that was even more detailed than it would have been had I not been forced to create that plan because I had to campaign. So what's in it? It's the ability to learn to plan and to create opportunities for others to come along. You know, we finished our year when I was in Georgia, District 14 at the time. It's now 2 different districts. But at the time, the whole state of Georgia was District 14, Georgia Toastmasters. And we finished the year as at number 6 in the world, which was an incredible achievement. But what I've told everybody ever since then, every year since then, it wasn't Lee Holiday that did that. It was all these leaders we had in the district, the division governors and the area governors and the club presidents. It was amazing to see the enthusiasm that they had all year long to accomplish something And who knew we would end up number 6 in the world? I didn't know that. In fact, I didn't know that until after it was a done deal. Because back then, we didn't have all this DCP stuff all on the web and able to see what the results were. You had to wait 6 weeks sometimes to see what the results were. But when the results came out, we were number 6 in the world, and all I could say wasn't me. It was my team. And see, that's the whole thing. You build your team as a leader, and the team accomplishes the result. Katrina.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, past District Immediate Past Director Lee Holiday. Thank you, past District Director Mary Williams. Thank you, past Governor Douglas Wilson. And thank you to Program Quality Director Jessica White and our next host, a Public Relation Manager, Laura T. Sunson. Thank you all for joining us on this first episode as we explore our leadership journey. We have explored some insights. They give us some strategies, some real life story to help us grow as a leader. And we must remember, leadership is not about title. It's about inspiring and empowering others. Whether you're a leader of a team, a community, or just yourself, Toastmasters is where you can develop, whether you can build, whether you can go on that journey to be a better you. So stay curious, keep challenging yourself, and join us in our next conversation as we become the best leader we can be. Bye-bye. South Carolina District 58 podcast, Speak Up, Lead On. Till next time, toodaloo.